The knife that cuts deepest is the one you handed them yourself. The first time I saw my wife cry, we were standing in the kitchen of our one-bedroom apartment and a pigeon had flown into the window. It wasn't dead, just stunned, and she held it in her hands like it was made of spun glass, tears streaming down her face, whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," as if she'd thrown it against the glass herself. I married her 11 days later. That should have been the red flag. Not the crying, the sorry, the way she apologized for things that weren't her fault, the way she absorbed the world's accidents like they were debts she owed. I mistook it for tenderness. I was wrong. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Daniel Cross, and for 43 years I believed I was a good judge of character. I could walk into a room and know within minutes who was lying, who was lonely, who was dangerous. It was a gift. Then I met Lena. We met at a gallery opening I was working. Someone had threatened to steal a painting, an overpriced smear of blue that looked like a bruise, and I was there to watch the crowd. She was watching the painting, not looking at it, watching it like it might move. I approached her, stupid, unprofessional, but I did it anyway. "You always stare at art like it owes you money?" She turned, and her eyes were the color of old photographs, sepia and shadow. "It's only the ones that are lying," she said. I laughed. She didn't. That was year 1. By year 3, we had a house with a garden, a dog named Beans who ate socks, and a silence between us that I mistook for peace. Lena worked from home, freelance graphic design, she said, and I traveled for work. It was a good arrangement. We missed each other just enough to make coming home sweet, but not so much that we forgot how to be alone. I never checked her phone. I never wondered where she went when she said she was meeting friends. I never asked about the locked drawer in her office, because I trusted her. That was my first mistake. Trust isn't something you give, it's something you loan, and loans come due. A letter, handwritten, addressed to her in cursive so ornate it looked like a threat. No return address. She took it from the counter before I could see, said it was from an old friend, and slipped it into her pocket. I didn't think anything of it. Then the phone calls started. Not on her cell, on the landline we barely used. She'd answer in the other room, voice so low I couldn't make out words, only the murmur of secrecy. When I asked who it was, she said wrong number. 3 times in 1 week, wrong number. I'm not an idiot. I followed her on a Tuesday. She said she had a doctor's appointment. I said I had a meeting. She drove to the edge of town to a motel called The Pines that hadn't been updated since 1982. She parked, walked to room 8, and knocked twice. A man opened the door. He was older, silver hair, expensive shoes. He pulled her inside and closed the door. I sat in my car for 3 hours. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I just sat there, watching that door, and I felt something inside me fold in on itself like a paper star, all those sharp edges collapsing into a smaller, heavier shape. When she came out, she was crying. Not the soft crying from the pigeon day. This was different. This was the crying of someone who had just buried something alive. I should have confronted her then. I didn't. I went home, made dinner, and asked how her appointment went. "Fine," she said. "Routine." I smiled. That was the moment I stopped being her husband and became her investigator. The next weeks were a masterclass in deception. I planted a voice recorder in her office. I checked her browser history. I went through that locked drawer while she was in the shower. Inside, photographs, dozens of them, all of the same man, the one from the motel, at different ages, as a child, as a teenager, and beneath the photographs, a newspaper clipping. Dateline, Portland, Oregon, 1989. Headline, "Man sought in disappearance of local mother and son." I read it 3 times. The man in the photograph, the one with the expensive shoes, the one my wife visited in a motel, was named Gerald Marsh. He was Lena's father. He had kidnapped her and her brother 35 years ago. The brother was never found. Lena was recovered 3 weeks later, alone in a motel room in Nevada. She never spoke about what happened. Gerald Marsh vanished till now. I didn't confront her. I couldn't. Because here's the thing about being an investigator. You don't stop when you find the answer. You stop when you understand the question. And I didn't understand anything yet. Why was she meeting him? Why the secrecy? Why the tears? I kept watching. I kept waiting. And then the letters started appearing addressed to me. The first one was slipped under our front door at 3 a.m. I know because I was awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if my wife was a victim or a liar or both. It was handwritten, one sentence. "She's not who you think she is." I showed it to her at breakfast. She went pale, not guilty pale, terrified pale. "Throw it away," she said. "Who sent this?" "I don't know. You're lying." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, I saw the woman I married. Not the stranger in the motel, not the liar with the locked drawer, just Lena, scared, tired, mine. "Daniel, please trust me." I laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. The second letter arrived 3 days later. Ask her about the brother. I did. She wouldn't answer. The third letter arrived the night before I followed her again. This time she didn't go to the motel. She went to the woods, state land, miles of pine and silence, and places where bodies could stay hidden forever. I followed at a distance, careful, professional. She met Gerald Marsh at a clearing. They stood facing each other. He spoke. She shook her head. He grabbed her arm. I moved. I don't remember crossing the distance. I don't remember my fist connecting with his face. I just remember the feel of his body hitting the ground, the sound of Lena screaming my name, and the gun. He had a gun. She had taken it from him. She was pointing it at me. "Daniel," she said, "you need to listen." Her hand was shaking. The gun was not. Gerald Marsh groaned on the ground, blood from his nose staining the pine needles. "That man," she said, nudging him with her foot, "is not my father." I stared at her. "My father died when I was 3, car accident. This man," she nudged him again, "killed my father, and then he took me and my brother. He raised us for 3 weeks, called himself Daddy, made us call him Daddy." "I've been looking for my brother for 35 years, she said, gun still shaking. "Last month, I found him." She looked at me. "It's you." The trees didn't spin, the world didn't stop. I just stood there as the paper star inside me unfolded, all those sharp edges becoming understanding. The letters, the secrecy, the way she looked at me like searching for someone lost. She pulled out a photograph. Me at age 4, standing next to a woman I didn't recognize, smiling. I'd never seen it before. Our mother. 3 months before he killed her, before he took us. Gerald Marsh laughed from the ground, bloody. "She's lying, always was." Lena aimed a gun at him again. "He'll tell us where he buried our brother." I looked at her, my wife, my sister, my stranger, and felt something I'd never felt before. Not anger, not betrayal, recognition. I'd spent my life reading people I'd never once read myself. "Give me the gun. He deserves—" "I know." She placed it in my palm. Gerald smiled through blood. "You won't. Too soft, like your mother." I fired. He screamed. Leg shot. "Tell us where our brother is." He talked. 3 hours, 2 more bullets. At dawn, we found where the earth had settled wrong, where trees leaned away from something. We didn't dig, we called the police. The twist isn't that my wife was my sister. The twist isn't that he survived, serving life for murders no one knew until we found the bodies, 3 others besides our brother, children, all buried. The twist is this: I still love her. Not as a brother, not as a husband, something that doesn't have a name because it shouldn't exist. We don't live together. We can't, but we talk every week, and when I hear her voice, I feel the paper star, the one that folded when I thought she was cheating, the one that unfolded when I learned the truth. Some things can't be fixed, but they can be held, carefully, like a stunned bird in your palms, like love that has nowhere to go but deeper. Never trust, except when you have no choice, except when the alternative is never loving anything at all.